Okay, let's read. There is a total of 2 lines on Bina, and we spent a total of 8 classes on Bina. So Bina begins at the end of the line, 9 lines down. 9 lines down, I think. Maybe 10 lines down. I'm reading the words inside. Okay, you all have Svarim, of course, all of you have books. Thank you for getting your books. I'm reading it. Ve'inyan habinahu, the concept of Bina is pirut. What does pirut mean? To detail. Ha'inyanim, the ideas, ha'klulim b'nekudas ha'chochma, that are included in the point of chochma. This is what we spent 2 weeks on. Bina departmentalizes, it compartmentalizes, it opens up. Page Chaf. You have the wrong book, man. It's Hebrew, it's a start.
Yeah, I know.
You're not going to guess right. Save my modem, Tofni Yud Av, Tofni Yud Beis. So that's what Bina does. Bina opens it up, and Bina tests. Now, of course, as I explained to you at length, you have to give up the richness of the flash in order to departmentalize. You lose the pleasure and the surety from that cliche form to dissect it. And of course, the end of the process is going to be, you're going to get a different kind of pleasure, which is called nekudas hatamtzis. At the end, you're going to have a sense of the settling of the idea. You're going to go back to a point. But that's the process of Bina. But now comes the second thing. When you understand something, you judge. Okay? Sorry?
No, can you think you understand something and then judge? Saying when somebody judges, that means they understand the thing, or no?
After you understand, you judge. You see, I'm not talking about this in politics. I'm not talking about this in bias. I'm talking about this in honesty. Okay? I have relationships with people. All kinds of people. People are close to me, but not so close to me, right? Beginning with my family and my children and the people that I'm involved with. And I'm often asked my opinion about things. And not often enough, but I do this. When a person asks me my opinion, I will say to them, and what is yours? And I'll get a do. You know what I'm saying? Now, sometimes people tell you I don't have opinions. But sometimes people have opinions and they're afraid to say them because they want to guess right. That's cowardice. You come to somebody and say, what do you think? I say, okay, I'll tell you what I think, but you tell me what you think. And they'll stall, they'll equivocate. Then you'll tell them what you think, and they'll explain to you how you're wrong. I said, before I told you my opinion, I asked you, you need your sefer. I told you I want to hear yours. I wouldn't have offered you my opinion. Why do I have to tell you my opinion? Tell you you're wrong. What's the tennis? You're afraid to give an opinion. Now, sometimes you're afraid to give an opinion because you don't have one, which is quite legit. And sometimes you're afraid to give an opinion, you have an opinion. And you want to be right. But you want everybody to agree with you and to guess like you. And if they don't guess like you get really upset, but you don't say your opinion. That's, in the practical world, messed up. It's not how it's supposed to be. People have opinions. And Shalom pointed out, without realizing it, that too often people have opinions prematurely. Too often people have opinions they don't know anything about. Right? Just to give you an example, which of course is totally benign, not a law of alto. Everybody's got an opinion about Trump. What's her name? Harris. It's either Trump or Harris or Donald and Camilla. It's not Trump and Camilla. Yeah, everyone has an opinion. Yeah. Why? Because she's terrible, and he's like, wow, he's like the Messiah. But the truth are two things. You know nothing about her, and you know nothing about him. So why do you have such a strong opinion? It's the mikvah talk.
Practically
it's
true.
The mikvah. Okay, it's practically. It's almost entirely true. It's like 95% true. Now wait. If you wanted an opinion, you have to study these two personalities. You have to study them. You know what's going to happen if you study them? First of all, you're going to have to waste time. Second of all, you have to do that terrible, terrible, terrible thing called using your brain, which is a big aveda. It's against the laws of America. Generation Z keeps the brain on ice for retirement.
It's easy.
What's easy?
Okay.
Could you stop making pictures and listen to me? Or you can do both at once. You're a kol yachol. You do things at one time. If you can do both things at once, goes in today. But you have to concentrate on the picture. I'd rather concentrate on me.
Right, you're right.
1 second. 1 second. And you know what else is the biggest problem? You know what the real reason you don't want to do it? Use your brain. Because you're afraid you're not going to like what you find out. And it's better not to know and be sure and to find out and to be in doubt. Because if you're going to actually study these two personalities, two things are going to happen. There's actually going to be 1 or 2 or 3 things about her that you may actually agree with. And there may actually be Rahmana l'Islam, 1 or 2, 3 things that you're not going to like about the 8th Rebbe. You know what I'm saying? So better be ignorant. And it's clear, it's 100%. This guy is the Messiah, and she's the anti-Messiah, and we won. Hep, 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 hep. Now, listen, I'm not saying Trump's not better than Camilla. I'm saying you haven't thought about it. You haven't thought about it. Most people haven't thought about it. Have some people thought about it? Yeah, I'm sure they have. But one thing I can guarantee you, people who actually think this through appreciate how complicated it is. When you choose a candidate, when you vote for somebody, so the way America works in the marketing is they make them sound like the holiest people in the world and the nicest people, and it's such a bunch of lies. Everybody knows it's a bunch of lies. You choose a candidate that you think is going to serve your interest the closest. He may change his mind. The situation may change. I can go on and on and on explaining why. It's nicht as a pashut. But when you choose a candidate, it's called, you inform yourself, you get information, you pick a candidate, but there's no such thing as this is a tzaddik and this is a rasha. It's a baba mais. It's a simplism. It's a simple, put your hand out. If you want to hold your hand up, buddy, exercise regime. I know you don't agree. Wait, give me finish, then you tell me. A bunch of people, he's about to have a heart attack. Let me finish, and then you'll all have your heart attacks at once, okay? Or one at a time, however you want to do it. Okay? But wait, I want to flip the case. I want it to the other side. I want it to the other side. I didn't bring this up to talk about people who don't use their brains, which is most people most of the time. I'm bringing it up for the few people who actually do use their brains. And have research. By the way, there's no way to know for sure, because I never, ever follow news. Never. I've gotten into a pattern. I get up in the morning, I want to see what's going on in Israel. I don't spend a lot of time, but I look. You could look at 3 news sites, and you think you're talking about 3 different worlds. Same story. One is saying Israel is bleeding out. Another was saying Israel is killing the Arabs. The other one is saying Achei Temimim. Everybody reports the news as they want. So even the facts are not necessarily facts.
So I mean, you say?
Huh?
I mean, they was like, they combine, this company, they combine all of them together. So when you see like
And then they ask their shit.
Okay, so I would rather, tell me this at 9 o'clock, either I will or I won't go there, I'm good. I was told to go to the yeshiva world, so I'm telling me, I got 4 opinions amongst the Hasidim, which is the best site. Wait. I want to talk about the other guy, the guy who thought about it. The guy who actually thought about it. Now, I'm telling you that if you would be an informed voter, you wouldn't love anybody, you wouldn't hate anybody. It is what it is. The tragedy of public service is that the best people are staying away. The tragedy is the choices that we had. You know, America is a big country with hundreds of millions of people, and people don't want to go into public service anymore. You know, people don't want to serve. They don't want to get into government, unless it's a career, in which case they're basically parasites. They live off the people. People who are business people, professionals, even academics. You know, I'm going to take a break from my profession and go into politics and help the people. It almost doesn't happen. I mean, Donald Trump is a businessman, and he got involved in politics, but the guy's like 80, you know. It doesn't happen enough. It's supposed to be that regular citizens, you know, for what if they're able to financially and physically and other considerations, I want to serve, right? Like the Kennedys, that's what they did. They were business people. Eventually, it became their identity, but you know, private citizens serve you. The problem that we have is we don't have a very good pool. Our choices are not so good, which is unfortunate. Because democracy is about people stepping up to the plate. I am going to put myself out there. They're going to make fun of me. They're going to expose every dark secret I ever had. But I'm going to have an opportunity to help America, and I love America, and I want to help America. That's how it's supposed to be. So the problem that we have is we don't have good choices. But I don't want to talk about that either. I want to talk about the person who's informed. What the Maimon is saying is very simply this. If you study anything, you spent the time, and you did that terrible, terrible, terrible sin of what?
Of what? Of Zerlaton?
Using your brain. Using your brain and making a judgment.
You have not committed that sin of using your brain.
Oh.
Alright.
This class, I tell you, it's not a 3-ring circus. Yocheved, you got to take that out. Okay, what he said, you got to take out. Hello, listen. Yeah, he uses your brain. The Maimon is saying a fact. It's impossible to think something through and not have an opinion about it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to act on it. But nobody can say, I did research, I listened to this side, I asked a lot of questions, I spoke to a lot of people, I think I understand the issue, and say, I don't know. Now, you may not trust yourself. You may say, I want to hear what you say because maybe my opinion is wrong, but there's no way for a person to think something through and understand it thoroughly and not have an opinion. Now, of course, we're talking about Torah.
You're saying implicit in part of being that, in fact, once you understand it, you therefore have an opinion.
Right. When you work something through till the end, you went through the process of looking for the new idea, finding the new idea, I'll get you in a second, developing, open that you're going to have an opinion. Listen, I want to explain to you the point, okay? Ideas exist on a level where you don't need opinions. Ideas exist on a level where they're just ideas. Meaning, whatever idea you want to choose, whatever you want to choose, okay, let's give you 2 ideas, just for the sake of the purposes of this conversation. There is an idea called capitalism, right? Capitalism deals only with finance, only with money. It doesn't deal with religion, and it doesn't deal with charity. It deals with business. Capitalism is a principle that says everybody wants to make money. If you allow people to make money, they'll want to make more money. In order for them to make more money, they're going to have to hire more people, so they're going to create more jobs. So if you leave business people alone, they will help the whole community because they want to make more money, and no one ever runs out of a desire for money. And since they'll always want to make money, they'll always want to have bigger businesses, and they'll always have to create more jobs, and everyone is going to benefit from it. True or false?
True. Somewhat part of it.
10,000 shades of grey.
True, somewhat part of it. In theory, it's absolutely true.
Theory. Practice.
In theory, in reality, everything needs checks and balances. Let's take another idea. What's the other idea? In the reality of life, not everybody gets a fair shake. We'll call this the socialist idea.
What? No, there you go.
You get the same opportunity. Some people are an advantage, some people are a disadvantage. Why? Some people don't have suffered more, some people don't have family, some people don't have the intelligence. No one wants to admit that, but you can't make a schlepper a gun because that's be fair. It doesn't work that way, but that's the idea, right? It's not fair. Now, so the social, let's make it fair. We'll take from this one and give to this one, so everyone will have. Some people have a greater advantage. Some people have a lesser advantage. INF, it's not fair. So what they call redistribute the wealth. Everybody should have. Now we're not saying that the poorest guy has the same amount as the richest guy, but somehow we'll make everybody happy. That idea, true or false?
False.
What were the 3 words you used before?
True.
True, somewhat,
Some part of it.
part of it. Right? Now what's the answer? On a level of ideas, both of those things are true. On the level of the real world, both of those ideas need to be checked. The capitalist idea is true if you control it. And the social idea is true if you control it. Okay, the way I see it, historically in the 19th century, in the 1800s, in the 1900s, the world was dominated by people, politics was dominated by rich people who promised the world, you let us get richer and richer and richer, soft, the poor will get rich also. It never happened.
Never happened.
So the people had to step in and make rules. You have to have laws of the marketplace, you have to have what's called the minimum wage, you have to have workers' compensation, you have to protect workers, right? It doesn't mean you can take all the money away from the rich person, because the flip side of that is you could make what they call unions, and the unions become so powerful that nobody wants to use unions. So unions defeated themselves. The idea that we're going to give the poor people the same opportunity as the rich people, and you push and you push and you push, and the rich person says, I'm going to take scabs. It's illegal. But there's a balance, right? The 20th century, especially after the First World War, it became very much, we have to share, we have to help each other. It really is a good idea, but if you let it run away with itself, it destroys the country. What's the truth? Balance. So listen, I want you to hear me out. Ideas in theory, you don't have opinions about. But the Maimon is saying, when you think something through till the end, you will have an opinion. When it's on the level of Chachma, when it's a seminal idea, the Rebbe says, even there, your neshama leads in one way or the other. When you think an idea through if you studied capitalism, the business model of capitalism, if you studied socialism, the financial side of socialism, you spent months or years researching the subject and you gained some kind of an aptitude on this subject, you will have an opinion. You don't have to have, but you will have. You will have because you have a bias. Everybody has a bias. That bias comes from your personality, comes from your neshama. Two people study the very, very same thing, understand it the very, very same way, and one will think it's a good idea, and other ones will think it's a bad idea. That opinion is not a part of their understanding. That opinion is the end of understanding. The Maimon is saying that when you think something through on a level of being, you're going to have an opinion. Now, let me say, I just want to remind, I'm going to tell you something. People are trying to ask questions, and they're raising their hands, and I'm not letting them. So you're not raising your hand. I will let everybody speak. I'm going to start with Menachem Mendel HaShaisik as soon as I'm ready. But I want to talk this. Listen, hear me out. Listen. We're actually talking about religion. You wouldn't come to this class anything but, right? It's a Maimon Chassidus. When a Maimon Chassidus wants to say what I say, what do they talk about? They don't talk about socialism and capitalism. They talk about kasher and treif. They talk about the standards of kashrus, right? There's a Beis Hillel and there's a Beis Shammai. They both talk about the same animal that went through the same shechita, that went through the same bedika, and then it was whatever processes it went through. And then there's shilas. You find the problem here, you find the problem here, and there's all kinds of considerations. If you are going to paskin that child, you're going to have to research it. And research it means doing that terrible aveda called
Using your brain.
very good. I'm very proud of you. Wait, if you're going to use your brain and think it through, you're going to have an opinion. Now you understand when Rav Paskins, he's afraid gefährlich. I think I told you this a few times already. I heard this of my son-in-law, who heard it from a younger man, who heard it from his own father. This story just blows my mind. There was a Yid in New York whose name was Reb Moshe Feinstein. He's gone now almost 40 years. He was called Reb Moshe. That was his name. No one knew his Reb Moshe. He became, for sure in America, the place of Kador, probably in Israel as well. And he dealt with all the Shvere Shalos. The Rebbe sent all the Shalos to him. Because of the new world, there was Shalos of Gedus, Shalos of Mamzedus, Gefrelach Shalos. And Moshe got breit the places. Moshe was a big God. He was a very big Talmud Chacham. He was a very, very big God. And he was a very humble man. And he became a Pesach. So this, my son-in-law heard from a younger man, heard from his father had smicha from Moshe. And he went in to see the Moshe Feinstein, and the Moshe Feinstein said to him, I am fasting 3 days because I have a shayla on my desk that I have to write a tshuva for. 3 fasting. And I promise that wasn't the only time it happened to him. Now, you think Moshe didn't have an opinion? Yeah, of course everyone has an opinion. If you research a subject, but you don't want to give it because you're afraid he's wrong. And so there's 2 things going on over here. It's impossible for a person to think something through and not have an opinion. But then you have to ask yourself, am I ready to give it? Is this opinion correct? Now, we could say, and I don't necessarily think that this is my final word, we could say that the difference between having an opinion and giving an opinion is the difference between Bina and Das. It would work. It would work for this never-ending Fabrengen. Okay? But there's no way for a person to think something through from beginning to end and not have an opinion. You may wonder what other people have to say. If you don't think something through when you have an opinion, you're a fool. If you do think something through when you don't have an opinion, either you didn't understand it or you're not honest. It doesn't necessarily mean you agree with your own opinion, but you have an opinion. And that's the second thing the Maimon says about Bina. It's impossible to think something through from the beginning till the end and come away with no judgment. And you may say, I wonder what other people have to say. You may say, I'm finished not listening to myself. I'm going to listen to other people. I don't trust me. But it's not possible to think something through from the beginning to the end of the day. It's what the wording inside is. I'm reading it again. You all have a sefer in front of you, so let's read the words again. V'inyan abina, the end of the line, 10 lines, not page chav. V'inyan abina who? The idea of abina is number one. Meir Shleima, I'd like you to come to class. Pirut ho'anyanim hakulim b'nekudas ha'chochma. To detail, the ideas that are included in the point of chacham, then comes something else. And that automatically exposes your bias, my bias, any smart person's bias, to kindness or severity. Okay, and it says in Chassidus, it says in Linktree, that people who joined Beis Hillel's academy, their personality was chesed. People who joined Beis Shammai's academy, their personality was gevura. And that's why they joined these schools, and that's why they paskin l'akol l'achmed. So when I read this the first time, I didn't read Linktree, I read the Mem from the Rebbe. I said, excuse me, that's not halacha, that's bias. I don't understand. If they paskin chesed and gevura because that's what they felt, the whole thing is a joke. If someone asks you like Trump or Harris, and you like Trump, why? Because that's the thing in your mikveh. You don't know anything about him. If a guy says, I like to be kind, I like to make things go, I mean, feel good, how do you paskin a shy like that? What's the answer to that question? That's not what they did. That's not what they did. Hello? They thought it through and thought it through and thought it through and thought it through and understood it completely. And then they had their bias. And there were instances where Beis Hillel was Mahmir. And there were instances where Beis Shammai was Mekel. And the best part of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, the best part of Beis Hillel was, they argued with each other. And when you argue something out, even though it's not so pleasant, you can be corrected. If Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel argued, yeah, and Beis Shammai could show Beis Hillel that their raya to their day was wrong, or if Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai argued, and Beis Hillel could show Beis Shammai that Beis Shammai's raya was wrong, there's no machlekes, it's over. When the Mishnah says Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, it doesn't mean they didn't talk to each other. After fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, neither could prove the other wrong. Beis Hillel could show you in Torah Kula. Beis Shammai could show you in Torah Chumrah. Each one could defend itself. When they argue, you have to defend your position. You have to try to push away their position with reason, not with I don't like your nose. And you have to defend your position. A machlekes that you have in Shas means that Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel sat around and they screamed at each other, mamish, and argued. Maybe they didn't throw food, but maybe chairs. I don't know what. There was ganz freilich, and neither could defeat the other. That's why it's called a machlekes. Beis Shammai is like a halten bazains. Beis Shammai held what he held. Beis Hillel held what he held. Okay, so they both did that terrible sin which is called using your brain. And they thought it through, and they had a bias. Now, if you use your brain and think something through, your bias, of course, is based on your nefesh. But it's not an emotional judgment, it's an intellectual judgment. Your brain goes in the direction of your personality. So the only way for you to be proven wrong is if it's a hepech. But if in Torah you can find support for this, and support for this, they're both true. This is called in our culture, Elu v'elu, Divrei Elokim Chayim. Beis Shammai is right, Beis Hillel is right. Our Maimah says, there's not a person on this planet who will go through the Bina process and come away without an opinion. If he does, he's a liar. If he doesn't, he's a liar. Again, you may not even trust your own opinion, but you're going to have one. Your opinion is not coming from your seichel, your opinion is coming from your personality, but it emerges at the end of the process. So on both sides, let's be clear. When you have an idea on the level of the flash of Chochmah, the Maimah said earlier, like 3 weeks ago, even then there's a feeling one person is leading to Chesed and Gevurah. But when you think it through and you understand it completely, at that point you will have an opinion. Absolutely. Can't be any other way. It's one of the byproducts of Bina. But the good news about it is, as long as it's in your brain, you can hear somebody else's opinion. The minute it gets into your heart, it becomes personal. Everybody disagrees with you, want to knock them down. But intellectually you can understand it one way, and you could also listen to what somebody else has to say. Okay, that's what those words mean. Gilui netiyas lechesed or legavura b'chulu. Okay, you're Menachem Mendel, right?
Yeah.
You wanted to speak, and I didn't let you. It's your turn.
Okay. I still don't really understand how it's possible for someone to know two different opinions, and like they have to take a side. Like, why can't they just say that, you know, the pros of one side are like equal to the pros of the other, or the negatives as well? Like, why can't they just say like they're both really good or bad opinions?
Okay, I think the answer to your question is hypothetically it's possible. Realistically, it's not likely. In other words, in most cases, if you say the two sides are equal, the real reason you're saying that is because you haven't done that terrible, terrible sin called
Using your brain.
you didn't think it through. I hear what you're saying. It is theoretically possible for you to entertain two ideas and they're both good. Going back to the example I gave, the idea of the marketplace, business people being able to make a lot of money because it'll trickle down, and the government protecting people's interests. Both of those ideas are really good ideas. They're really very good ideas, actually. And figuring out the balance in those good ideas creates a nation that's balanced. Unfortunately, in the world of politics, there's so much lying and deceiving and manipulating. Most people have a very hard time figuring out where the truth is. But if people cared about helping people, the truth is you need both. You have to let rich people make money. It's good for everybody. And you have to look after poor people. It's also good for everybody. But there's balance. But most people care more about getting into office than the truth. So you create an extreme, and it gets very confusing. But if you are an objective observer, and you look at this, and you cannot say where your leaning is, it is theoretically possible that you literally see them as balanced. But in most cases, because you haven't finished thinking it through, that's my opinion. Whether you truly think it through, because your opinion has to do with your nature. Your opinion has to do with your very essence. Everybody has a personality. Now, the personality is very deep. And when you use your brain correctly, you're not letting your personality do what's happening with the frum world and Trump, or the secular Jews in Harris. They're not thinking. In most cases, I know I just said a very bad thing, and for this I'm going to get flogged, but I'm going to hide behind Rabbi Fenton, and they'll hit him first, and I'll be safe. Okay. I want you to know I voted for Trump. Don't misunderstand. But everybody relax. Just relax. He ain't the Messiah. He's and no one even knows what he's going to do. No one even knows if he's going to last 4 years. The guy's almost 80. But it's like, whoa, calm down. I'm not saying it's not good or bad, but just relax. What I am saying is that Torah says, and this is my message, if someone thinks something through from the beginning till the end, in all likelihood he's going to, in most cases, he's going to have a bias. And someone has to have a different bias. I used to give a shiur in Crown Heights to a group of men. There was a guy in that group who was a real scientist, very bright guy. I don't know if he does professionally. I mean, he's over 70 now, but I gave the shiur maybe 20 years ago, 50 years ago. A chassid, a chassid. Very from, very lechassid. She's a shluch in the whole business. But he's a real leftist. He's a real leftist. Everything that ever holds, he's mevatel his deya. When it comes to Yisrael, but any place where there's not a clear opinion of the Rebbe, and I was younger then, so I was stupid enough to be caught up in this, and at one point I realized, I'm not changing his mind, but it's more important for me to listen to him than to argue because I have something to learn. I met a man who's, l'chayda, Orthodox Jew from Brooklyn, so l'chayda his shita should be, mikveh. He has no opinion. He doesn't even argue. It came up because so over the years I've learned I'm never going to change his mind. I'm never going to agree with him. But for me to listen to him is helpful because you need to open your mind. It doesn't mean you're going to change your opinion. It just means your opinion is going to be more true. It's going to be more grounded. It's going to be more thorough, thought through. But the Maimeh says, if after you think it through, if you don't know what you're talking about, you'll still say, I'm going to vote for this candidate and not for this candidate. Go ahead, Menachem Mendel, talk.
So does that mean every single person there is always a preference between Chesed and Gvura?
Yeah, that's exactly what it means. And God put it there. In the essence of your soul, your integrity is not to have an opinion. Your integrity is if you don't think it through. Then you're lazy. Then you're being childish. Go ahead.
We're saying at the end of the beer process, once you understood that there is no way to be completely objective about it, you will almost definitely have a bias. As an LP judgment, yes, you can remove that bias.
He is saying that it's possible to not have an opinion, and I think in theory it's true, but most people, I'll be tight, most people, most situations you can have an opinion, yes. I want to show you something, but I want to give you a chance to speak before I show it to you. Anybody else want to speak? You had so much to say before.
Oh yeah, about Trump.
Yeah, what about him?
I'm saying I don't want to use bad
When the
language,
Messiah came. Yeah, go ahead.
but he's gonna bomb. The
How do you know what he's going to, how do you know
He
what
doesn't
he's
care.
doing? He doesn't care?
He doesn't care.
But I got a secret for you. I got a big secret for you. He is not going to fly the plane that's going to fly over Iran and drop the bomb. He's not going to load the plane.
He's going to press
That's
the
going to,
button.
and everyone is going to say, okay, the king said.
Yeah,
He's,
Pretty powerful.
is he? He's very powerful. But you know what? It is a democracy. Thank God. Thank God.
I don't care.
Not I don't care. I don't know. I don't know. You know one of the most interesting things about America is a president can start anywhere he wants.
Yeah.
Anywhere he wants. By himself. He's got one problem. One teeny tiny problem.
Democracy.
He can't pay for it. The checkbook is the 100 Michiganers in the Senate.
Yeah.
Yep. So if he wants to bomb, he's got to lick a lot of you-know-whats. So just relax. Just calm down. Just calm down. It's not Putin. It's not a one-man show.
It's not a one match.
And that's how it's supposed to be. Now, that's a big chassadah. Why? Because sometimes you have to act today, and they equivocate. I mean, a great example would be after the First World War, when Wilson came back. I love Wilson, but he was in a way like Jimmy Carter. He's an idealist, a terrible politician. And there was a League of Nations. If America joins the League of Nations, b'derech hateva, there's no World War II. Imagine that. And the Senate, the Congress voted against the League. Why? Because he was a Democrat and they were Republicans. And he wouldn't humble himself. It was, Pasha, just make him feel good. It's my document. I did it. The Europeans were laughing at him. The French and the British who agreed to the League were laughing at him all the way, 12 points. So he ran around America, he's going to sell to the people. And he had a stroke. That was the end of him. That's what happened. If he had come back to the United States and sit down with the Republic and say, what do I need to give you that you should agree to join the League? They would have joined the League. The League of Nations, something as the United Nations. Now we see what the United Nations is now. It's unfortunately a very political body with no objectivity, but at least for a while it worked. And at least if Germany wants to kill the whole world, it'll wake up. Anyway, we digress. Anybody else want to speak? Before I let you go, I need to show you one more line. This one is very important. Look back in the book, which you of course all have open, because you all brought your books to class. Aval, however, look inside, show them your bad. Aval, however, no one knows what your last name is, so the computer, the movie is not going to insult your integrity. It's not going to hit the shit. Hey, why'd you have to do that? Now, okay, Aval, however, look inside very carefully. You're looking inside, Mordechai, you have a book? Adayin yecholim ha'inyonim leishtanes b'nokal. It's still possible for you to change your mind easily. Page Chof, near the end of the first paragraph. Mitad echad lemishneo, from one side to the other. You see, that's the other side of Bina. Huh? That's the other side of Bina. What did you say?
No, at the beginning of class I said that's where we're starting from. You said cap.
Hello, listen very carefully. Bina means if you think something through, you have an opinion. Bina doesn't mean if you think something through, you have an opinion, and it's never going to change. Someone can come to you and argue with you, right? You heard the two svaras that are on the table, capitalism and socialism, right? And listen, you weigh both sides, and okay, I like this one better than this one, depending on your personality. And then someone is going to sit down with you and explain it to you, and you're going to say, I hear what you're saying. I still feel like this is right, but I think what you're saying is more realistic, is more practical. I keep on telling you, for an idea to be good, it can't be a good idea. It's got to be an actionable idea. Otherwise, it can be terrible, to the point of evil, mamish. It's got to work in the real world. So bina means, if you thought something through, you have an opinion. You absolutely have an opinion. But bina doesn't mean you thought something through, you have an opinion, and that opinion is carved in stone. And that is where das comes in.
Das carved in stone.
That's right. Das, all of this dancing and singing since Sukkot and before, was heading when you cross the threshold from bina to das, that's real. As you'll see in the next class. Okay, class is over.